Hello everyone and welcome to Sandbox Sorna. In today's video I'm going to be showing you the park I've built and give you the 5 tips that I've discovered to build a big and beautiful 5-star park on Isla Sorna. I might have cheated a little bit, but you'll see what I mean. At this point I've done 8 out of the 10 sandbox maps and you can see all of my 5 tips videos in the playlist at the end. If you aren't subscribed yet, it would really mean so much to me if you'd help me build my channel. And to my subscribers, thank you so much for getting me to 600 plus. You guys are awesome and will return to the YouTube subscriber park soon. Not gonna lie, I was dreading Sorna. I had a busy week, blah 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 blah. And I remembered that when I did Nublar North, I got a little bit of a creative burnout at the end of the first section. And there were 3. And just like with Nublar North, Sorna also has 3 huge sections to fill. Now as I said, I did cheat a little bit, so this park might not be what you expect of me. But I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. One of the ideas, and thus one of the tips, was inspired by a pretty wacky suggestion from one of my subscribers, and I'll give them credit when we get to the tip. I really love reading all of your comments and getting to talk with other fans of the game all over the world. That is awesome to me. I hope you'll keep sharing your thoughts in the comments. I read and respond to every single one. It makes me really enthusiastic to share this passion for Jurassic World Evolution with you guys, and I'm happy that you don't seem sick of me quite yet. You're probably sick of this intro dragging on at this point though, so I'm just gonna move on to tip number 1. Similarly to what I recommended for Nublar North, I'd say give every section on Sorna its own theme. Go with different eras, different dig size, carnivores versus herbivores, big versus small, rainforest versus arid, you get what I mean. Big section maps like this are great for people like me who just can't choose what to do with a park. On a map like this, you can basically make several different parks into one, and the combination is what makes it unique. As you can see, I divided the 3 sections into 1 guest area, 1 arid landscape, and 1 rainforest landscape. The idea behind it is tip number 2. Give a little nod to the movies, or rather, let the movies inspire you. Sorna and Nublar are the only islands to feature in the films, and Sorna felt like the perfect opportunity for me to lean into its roots. Hence, the idea was born to pay homage to 2 of my favorite settings from the 2 movies, the river, side B, as Alan so eloquently put it, and the game trail from The Lost World. This is a game trail, Mr. Ludlow. Carnivores hunt on game trails. Do you want to set up base camp or a buffet? Both were the setting of iconic scenes for me that definitely left an impression on my younger self. The game trail I've made more barren as it appeared in the movie. Off to the side I also added a bit of long grass. It is recommended not to go into the long grass. And I've placed some buildings to unconvincingly simulate the worker village. The river cuts through a rainforest. Not really anything particularly special about it, as the movie also didn't really make the landscape feel very special to me. But it did add the 3 piles of dung that they had to dig into to find the satellite phone. I actually watched Jurassic Park 3 last week and I have a lot to say about it. Let me know in the comments if you'd be down with me doing a video on that. Just comment rant down below and you know what you're getting yourself into. Tip number 3. I have a habit of over-designing my parks. I'm pretty sure you're well aware of this. Complicated path designs and superfluous monorail structures are pretty much my trademark. And that might have been what you were expecting from my build on Sorna. Which is why I feel like I cheated by only really building in one of the sections. But keeping the guest areas contained is my 3rd tip for this map. I really like the idea of guests arriving on this island that is still mostly wild. Only a small section of it has been built in. The viewing platforms are instead watchtowers, and the science center is basically a security check where you sign a form stating that the park isn't liable if you inevitably die out here. This is a reclaimed part of the island, the rest is still completely hostile. Now I went with a single guest area, only using the 1st section. But what you can also do is build 1 small guest area in each of the sections and let the dinosaurs roam free around these spots. There is one reason why I did not add guest areas to the other sections, and that comes with tip number 4. Use the monorail not as transportation, but as an attraction. This is the idea that was inspired by one of my subscribers who left a comment stating that I should make the longest, bendiest monorail track ever. I didn't quite do that, but it is pretty long, So I hope you like it. Thanks for the comment. I envisioned the park builders building this long monorail track through the wilderness, probably with a lot of casualties, even though they would have used one of those systems that is basically a train that builds the track as it goes. So it's not built from the ground up. I just like that idea. I'm rambling at this point. I'm sorry. The compromise was that I couldn't then also use the monorail for transportation, because that would blur the line between function and attraction, and I didn't want that. For that reason, I couldn't build guest areas in the other sections, because building a path all the way over there wouldn't make any sense, and no way the island rating would have reached 5 stars that way. But thankfully, even just the first section is big enough to fit everything in. Finally, tip number 5, similar to my 5 tips for the Tucanio research facility, the 5th tip is actually just a couple of smaller tips regarding buildings. I already addressed repurposing the buildings for different things, like the platforms being watchtowers and the monorail being an attraction, but practically what you should also know is that you need 6 hotels for good capacity on Sorna. It's a big island and it attracts a lot of guests. When I started building on this map, I built a temporary production floor in the game trail section, with 3 creation labs and an ACU. The monorail had a station there to activate the buildings, but I placed everything knowing I would delete it before the final step. Once the park was fully populated, using only dinosaurs from the 2 movies by the way, I deleted the buildings and finished up the landscaping in that part. I do apologize for sometimes recycling tips from other maps, but I can't assume that everyone watches all of these videos in the 5 tip series, so when something needs to be said about a certain map, well, I have to say it, that's how it works. Hopefully, these 5 tips will help you build something awesome on Sorna. Let me know in the comments what you have planned for the island, and add rant if you want to hear my opinion on Jurassic Park 3, including some tips on how I think they could have fixed the movie. Not 5 tips, just a couple. Next week, this 5 tips series is going to Matanceros, the most underrated of the maps in my opinion. I already did a park tour on Matanceros, but I want to build something new and give you proper tips. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, enjoy the game!